Good evening. The Bharatiya Janata Party Minority Morcha and the Samajwadi Party. They're at loggerheads over a picture that's gone viral online. And we'll show you this image in just a short while from now. This is an image of Samajwadi Party Supremo Akhilesh Yadav, former Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh and current Member of Parliament, and his wife, Member of Parliament Dimple Yadav, with party leaders and followers at the Parliament Road Masjid Mosque there. The BJP Minority Morcha says a mosque is for ibadat. It's for prayers, not for a political meeting. The Samajwadi Party has hit right back, accusing the BJP of constant Hindu-Muslim politics and diversionary tactics. We'll get you all that's happening on this big story and lots more.
It's the Akhilesh Masjid meet firestorm. A masjid turns a political meeting place for the Samajwadi Party. BJP slams Namazwadi SP.
समाजवादी पार्टी का जो चाल चरित्र चेहरा है हमेशा संविधान विरोधी रहा है.
Why no dupatta for Dimple? asks BJP.
इस प्रकार से वहाँ पर श्रीमती डिम्पल यादव जी ब्लाउज में बैठी हुई हैं. उनका पीठ दिख रहा है, उनका पेट दिख रहा है, उनके सर पर दुपट्टा नहीं है.
Akhilesh says it's the BJP dividing over dharma.
बीजेपी को यही तकलीफ है कि कोई जुड़े नहीं, दूरियां बनी रहें.
सोशल उसके लिए गए थे वहाँ पे, और वहाँ पे कोई मीटिंग नहीं हुई थी, क्योंकि भ्रमित करने का हमेशा भारतीय जनता पार्टी की नीयत रही है.
Who is using religion for Rajniti? That's the big focus on India First.
Maulana Mufti Shahabuddin Razvi Barelvi says what the Rampur Member of Parliament, Maulana Muhibullah Nadwi did, according to him, is an act that violates the sanctity of the mosque and destroys its purity. A mosque is the house of God, and no political party meeting should be held there or can be held there. The Samajwadi Party says this was no political party meeting. The Samajwadi Party says that the Bharatiya Janata Party, and you just heard Dimple Yadav a moment ago where she was saying it's diverting attention from the special intensive revision, the SIR in voters list in Bihar, for example, or Operation Sindoor, or the situation in Jammu and Kashmir, another very critical issue that the country faces. But is there merit that there is an issue that is being raised, and why? Is this minority appeasement politics versus majority appeasement? We get you all sides of the story. Also coming up at 8:30 on India Today, were and how were Hindu women being brainwashed to convert to Islam through a complex web in a conversion racket, and that's been exposed in a big way. We get you a video testimony of a survivor. Coercion, lure and money. How was that being used? We get you much more on that at 8:30 tonight. I'm Gaurav Sawant. As always, let's get started with the headlines on India First. Inside details of what led to Jagdeep Dhankar's shocked resignation. The government tried to dissuade the former vice president against the opposition's motion on Justice Verma. Dhankar expected the centre to pressure him against resignation. India Bloc MPs protest in Parliament complex against the electoral roll exercise in Bihar. Both houses adjourned amidst continued ruckus. BJP targets Akhilesh Yadav over mosque meeting, questions wife Dimple's attire. Samajwadi Party chief accuses the BJP of using religion as a weapon. India rejects the claims of a UK family on receiving wrong bodies of AI-171 victims. The Ministry of External Affairs says mortal remains were treated with dignity, adds the government is ready to address any concerns. Ghaziabad micronation scam. a man sets up a fake embassy of fictional nations, claims ties with Sarboga, West Arctica, and Ladonia. Luxury watches, diplomatic number plates forged, ID cards seized. The Bharatiya Janata Party has slammed former Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav, the Samajwadi Party's Supremo and Member of Parliament, for what it terms was a political meeting inside a mosque on the Parliament Street in the national capital. You're looking at those images on your television screen. BJP IT cell chief Amit Malviya took to social media platform X to insist Akhilesh Yadav held a political meeting at a mosque near Parliament. He says these are the same people who had distanced themselves from the Pran Pratishtha, the grand inauguration of the Ram temple. This, he says, is not secularism, but hypocrisy for the sake of vote banks. The Samajwadi Party has hit back, insisting that this was not a political meeting, also insisting that the BJP's aim is only to divide the people. Dimple Yadav, Samajwadi Party MP, dismissed the BJP's claims, saying that the meeting was purely social and not political. We get you more in this report.
Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav, accompanied by MPs including his wife Dimple Yadav, visited a mosque near Parliament House, a move that has ignited controversy. The BJP has accused Akhilesh of turning the mosque into a party office, threatening protest over the alleged politicization of faith. And it doesn't stop there. BJP leaders have taken aim at Dimple Yadav's attire, questioning her uncovered head and blouse, claiming it is a disrespect to the mosque customs.
समाजवादी पार्टी का जो चाल चरित्र चेहरा है हमेशा संविधान विरोधी रहा है। भारतीय संविधान स्पष्ट उल्लेख करता है कि हम धर्मनिरपेक्ष रहेंगे राजनीतिक कार्यों में, और इस प्रकार के कृत्य समाजवादी पार्टी के इतिहास में शामिल है।
ये अखिलेश यादव और समाजवादी पार्टी का चाल चरित्र और चेहरा बताता है। मस्जिद चाय पीने की जगह नहीं है। और सबसे बड़ी बात क्या है, वो अर्धनग्न अवस्था में थी, ब्लाउज में थी, उनका पेट खुला हुआ था, वो बाहर चल सकता है लेकिन मस्जिद के अंदर नहीं चल सकता है, उनका सर खुला हुआ था।
BJP Minority Morcha has written a letter to mosque cleric and Samajwadi Party MP Muhibullah Nadwi to allow BJP workers for a political meeting in the mosque. Akhilesh Yadav was quick to react, calling BJP's charges a bid to divide people.
आस्था जोड़ती है, किसी भी धर्म या कोई आस्था है वो आस्था जोड़ती है, और जो आस्था जोड़ने का काम करती है हम उसके साथ हैं। बीजेपी को यही तकलीफ है कि कोई जुड़े नहीं, दूरियां बनी रहें। बीजेपी कहेगी नमकीन खाइए तो नमकीन खाएंगे क्या? तो बीजेपी क्या कर रही है, बीजेपी को आप भी जानते हो, बीजेपी को आप सब जानते हो, बीजेपी का हथियार ही धर्म है।
Dimple Yadav called BJP's claims misleading, denying any party meeting took place inside the mosque.
ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है, क्योंकि हमारे सांसद हैं, इमाम साहब हैं और उनकी पत्नी, हम सब लोग एक सोशल उसके लिए गए थे वहाँ पे, और वहाँ पे कोई मीटिंग नहीं हुई थी, क्योंकि भ्रमित करने का हमेशा भारतीय जनता पार्टी की नीयत रही है।
अगर हमारे नेता अपने सांसद से मिलने गए या उनके यहाँ एक कप चाय पीने गए या शिष्टाचार बस गए, तो भाजपा के पेट में दर्द क्यों हो रहा है?
Samajwadi Party MP and mosque cleric Muhibullah Nadwi also rubbished BJP's claims.
बीजेपी किस मुंह से जो है आत्मा और उसका जो है वो आस्था का सम्मान करेगी, क्योंकि बीजेपी तो आस्था के केंद्रों को ढाने का काम करती है।
The Congress, an ally of the Samajwadi Party, slammed the BJP, saying that the party has a knack for finding religious angles and doing politics over it.
Congress party strongly believes that the hate politics of RSS should not be allowed, and the RSS and the BJP plays out for that politics to divide people on religious lines. We are not in that game, and we are very clear that India has many serious issues to be discussed.
Akhilesh's visit to the mosque has become a political flashpoint. Will it escalate or die down? Remains to be seen. With Piyush Mishra, Amit Bharadwaj and Rahul Gautam, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, some may ask, why is this important? Look at the demographic profile of certain constituencies in Uttar Pradesh. Take, for example, Rampur. 50.57% of the voters, and I'll take it constituency by constituency and get you some more details. Rampur, 50.5%, Muradabad 47%, Bijnor 43%, Saharanpur 41%, Muzaffarnagar 41%, Amroha 40%, Balrampur 37%, Bareilly 34%, Bahraich 33%, Shravasti 30.79%, Bagpat 27%, Ghaziabad 25%, Siddharthnagar 29%. Now, sizable Muslim voter base, and therefore optics and actions not only become extremely important, they are hotly contested both by the BJP and by the Samajwadi Party. Was this optics? Was this just a social meeting, shishtachar bhet, as the Samajwadi Party puts it, or a political meeting, as the BJP insists? Joining me on this India First special broadcast is Maulana Ansar Raza. He is the president of the Gharib Nawaz Foundation. Ashutosh is a very well-respected author, political analyst, joins us on the show, as does Professor Geeta Bhatt. She's an academic. And Shubhrasta is again an author and a political analyst. But Maulana Ansar Raza, बीजेपी आईटी सेल के जो चीफ है अमित मालविया, उन्होंने सोशल मीडिया पर एक पोस्ट डाला है और मैं आपको सुना देता हूं उन्होंने क्या कहा। समाजवादी पार्टी के अध्यक्ष अखिलेश यादव ने संसद परिसर के पास स्थित मस्जिद में राजनीतिक बैठक की। ये वही हैं जिन्होंने राम मंदिर के भव्य उद्घाटन जो 22 जनवरी 2024 को हुआ था, उसको राजनीतिक प्रोजेक्ट बताकर उससे दूरी बना ली थी। ये धर्मनिरपेक्षता नहीं है, ये सेक्युलरिज्म नहीं है, ये वोट बैंक के लिए किया गया पाखंड है। आप इसे किस रूप में देखते हैं?
गौरव सावंत साहब, अखिलेश यादव या उनके एमपीज पार्लियामेंट की मस्जिद में गए, वहां की कोई रिकॉर्डिंग है मालवीय साहब के पास कि कोई वहां पॉलिटिकल मीटिंग हुई है या पॉलिटिकल बात हुई है, क्या वोट बैंक की कोई बात हुई है, कुछ है उनके पास? देखिए, उनका काम क्या है कि पूरे मुल्क में सिर्फ भ्रम फैलाना, अमित मालवीय का ये काम है। इसके अलावा आप उनके पिछले तमाम ट्वीट उठा करके देख लीजिए, कहीं ना कहीं वो इस तरह की बात करते हैं कि मुल्क में नफरत का माहौल पैदा हो। दूसरी चीज, आप एक बात बताइए, क्या हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री मोहतरम नरेंद्र मोदी साहब जब शिंजो आबे को लेकर के सीधी सैयद की जाली में गए थे, तो क्या उनको वो पॉलिटिकल मसला मकसद था उनका? नहीं। दूसरी चीज, दुनिया की इतनी मस्जिदों में मोदी साहब गए हैं, क्या वहां भी वोट मांगने के लिए गए थे क्या? अरे, मैंने खुद रिजवी साहब से बात की है कि भाई आपने ये क्या किया, तो उन्होंने कहा कि अंसार भाई, पार्लियामेंट में वक्त था तो हमने कहा कि करीब में चल के मस्जिद में बैठ जाते हैं, तो वहां हम बैठ गए और हमने सिर्फ, उन्होंने एक सवाल किया कि नमाज कैसे पढ़ते हैं आप लोग, वो तरीका क्या होता है नमाज का। ये मैं कोट टू कोट बता रहा हूं जो मैंने मौलाना नदवी साहब से बात की है, और उन्होंने कहा कि मैंने उनको बताया कि इस तरह से हम नमाज पढ़ते हैं, यहाँ सफ़ें लगती हैं। वहां कोई राजनीतिक बात नहीं हुई। ये अलग बात है, मैं बार बार कह रहा हूं कि राजनीति का अड्डा मस्जिदों को नहीं बनाना चाहिए। मस्जिदें राजनीति करने के लिए नहीं है, लेकिन अगर कोई आदमी मस्जिद देखने के लिए जाता है या नमाज का तरीका देखने के लिए जाता है, तो मुझे लग रहा है कि उसको पॉलिटिक्स से नहीं जोड़ा जाना चाहिए। अब जहां तक सवाल एक लफ्ज का है, गौरव सावंत साहब, बीजेपी के जो अल्पसंख्यक के अध्यक्ष हैं, उन्होंने बहुत आपत्तिजनक बात की है। आपत्तिजनक ये है कि उन्होंने कहा है, मैं वो लफ्ज नहीं दोहरा सकता जो बीजेपी ने कहा है, कि डिंपल यादव किस तरह से मस्जिद में बैठी थी। भाई खुदा के वास्ते, इतनी गहरी नजर से तो सिर्फ बीजेपी देख सकती है, उतनी गहरी नजर से हम लोग नहीं देख सकते हैं। नहीं जाना चाहिए था उनको। मस्जिद है, इबादत का घर है, अल्लाह का घर है, इबादत की जगह है, अल्लाह का घर है, वहां पॉलिटिक्स नहीं होनी चाहिए थी।
नहीं, आपका कहना है कि डिंपल यादव जी को नहीं जाना चाहिए था मस्जिद में?
नहीं, वो अगर गई हैं तो मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि वो किस मकसद से गई हैं ये उन्होंने क्लियर कर दिया है। लेकिन जितनी गहरी नजर से बीजेपी के अल्पसंख्यक ने देखा है कि उनका बदन कैसे दिख रहा था, अल्लाह बेहतर जाने साहब क्या क्या बीजेपी देखती है, ये तो सावंत साहब मैं नहीं कह सकता। अपनी जबान से तो मैं कम इतना मैं संस्कार रखता हूं अपने भारत में रह करके कि मुझे किसको किस नजर से देखना चाहिए।
ठीक।
हम किसी का जिस्म नहीं देखते हैं। अगर वो मस्जिद में गई थी तो उनको सर पे पल्लू रखना चाहिए था और उनको अपने अपने हिसाब से, जिस हिसाब से जाने का तरीका है, उस हिसाब से
ठीक।
उनको जाना चाहिए था, सर पे
Let me
पल्लू
bring
होना चाहिए
let
था।
me bring
लेकिन
Shubhrashta on a very pertinent point you've raised. आपने एक महत्वपूर्ण प्रश्न उठाया है। मौलाना साहब रहिए मेरे साथ और सुनते भी रहिएगा और जब दखल देना चाहे फील फ्री सर। शुभराष्ट्र जी, बीजेपी माइनॉरिटी सेल चीफ जमाल सिद्दीकी, his comment is going viral on a lady's attire. Dimple Yadav is a Samajwadi Party MP. He's commented, and if I may, translate words to the effect, Dimple Yadav is seen sitting in a blouse, her back and stomach are visible, or words to that effect. Dimple Yadav did not have a dupatta on her head. Ma'am, isn't this completely out of line, these comments of his, ma'am?
Not just completely out of line. I think this is a comment that should be denounced by any individual who believes in the free. I don't even want to use the term freedom of women, because we are all equal, and this is absolutely not. This is something which is non-negotiable in public space. He should not have written anything like that. But well, we have politicians who come from society, and as society, this is how society views women. Why just talk about one individual? This is how women are perceived, and it is unfortunate. It is extremely unfortunate that he took to Twitter to air his views. These views are misogynistic. These views reek of a certain, amount of patriarchal control, and it should be denounced across party line, across ideology. However, Gaurav, I was very keenly listening to the speaker before me, and he mentioned specifically that they should not have gone there because we should not, because masjid is a place of ibadat, and it should not be used as a political akhada or manch or whoever. And he also very interestingly says that the explanation given by Samajwadi Party is that we had some time to while away, so we decided to go and sit in a mosque. It is also demeaning the dignity of a religious place. Religious places are not supposed to be your entertainment. They are not supposed to be places where you just walk in because you don't have anything to do. So does Samajwadi Party believe that mosques are a place where you go and while away your time? Would they have treated a mandir in a similar way if I were to quote unquote communalize the narrative? Also, I think it is very interesting to see that all political parties, all political leaders from a particular political party go and meet the Maulanas. If they were really up for whiling away time, why did they not take somebody who were non-political as well?
Okay, let me bring in Ashutosh to and try and understand, this controversy. A social visit to a mosque, or was this actually aimed at a vote bank? Some may argue that Samajwadi Party is repeatedly relying, is this a sign of their politics? Can this be seen, or should this be seen, as the BJP alleges, as Muslim appeasement? Or is this genuine concern, one, for well-being of Muslims, or two, just a social meeting, and Akhilesh Yadav just wanted to know namaz kaise padhte hain, to chalo masjid mein chal ke dekhte hain.
See, Gaurav, first of all, the statement which is made by that BJP person, a spokesperson, whosoever, I think that's condemnable. He should not have uttered those words. I think those are highly objectionable, and I'm glad that Subhrashta has raised the issue, and I'm. But there are the two things. First of all, whether the report is confirmed that whether Akhilesh Yadav had gone for a political meeting over there, I don't think it is a reporter's report, but it's a Amit Malviya thing. And Amit Malviya has a history of, and he's
Jamal
accused
Siddiqui,
of...
BJP minority cell chief, it's between two political parties, sir.
Yeah. So I'm only saying is, second point is, I think anybody going to any place, whether you are going to the mosque, whether you are going to the temple, how can anybody object to that? That you can't go there, you can't sit there, you can't talk there, you can't meet them. And even if the politics was discussed over there, I don't see any objection over there. The issue is if you use religion to spread hatred against any community or any religion, that is something which has to be objectionable. Otherwise, going to a mosque, meeting somebody, I don't see anything which is wrong over there. But the fact of the matter is, this was tried to be made a political issue out of it. That itself speaks that the kind of politics we are seeing in this country.
Okay. Before I bring in Professor Geeta Bhatt, मौलाना साहब, आशुतोष जी का कहना है अगर मस्जिद में राजनीति की बात भी हो गई तो गलत क्या है? आशुतोष, if I'm translating it correctly or words to that effect.
No. I stand by what I said. I said even if the politics is discussed over there, even unless religion is used to spreading hatred against others or hatred against any community.
Correct. तो इसमें गलत है भी क्या? जी जी जी, मौलाना साहब।
आशुतोष साहब ने जो बात कही है, इसमें कोई शक व शुबा की गुंजाइश नहीं है कि अगर वहां कोई पॉलिटिकल बात हो भी गई है तो कोई गुनाह नहीं है। कोई सियासत करना कोई पाप नहीं है, हराम नहीं है सियासत करना, लेकिन चूंकि मस्जिद जगह नहीं है सियासत की, तो इसलिए जो है थोड़ा सा उससे परहेज करना चाहिए। और जो सुब्राष्टा जी ने कहा है राम मंदिर के ताल्लुक से, मैं एक बात बताऊं, अगर अखिलेश यादव हो या कांग्रेस पार्टी हो, व्हाटएवर कोई भी पार्टी हो, अगर मान के चलिए वो राम मंदिर नहीं गए हैं या इनविटेशन नहीं उन्होंने एक्सेप्ट किया है, तो उसमें मुसलमानों का क्या कसूर है? भाई हमने तो मना नहीं किया उनको कि आप मत जाइए। दूसरा, एक लफ्ज आजकल बड़ा ट्रेंड कर रहा है गौरव सावंत साहब, नमाजवादी। नमाजवादी क्या है? ये नमाजवादी किसी बीजेपी के पॉलिटिकल लीडर के अंदर ये ताकत नहीं है कि वो नमाजवादी का मतलब बता दे। क्या अगर मोदी जी गर्भगृह में जाकर के 9 कैमरे ले जाकर के वहां फोटो खिंचवाते हैं, तो हमने कभी पूजावादी कहा क्या उनको? योगी आदित्यनाथ जी हर चौथे पांचवें दिन किसी ना किसी मंदिर में वो पूजा करते नजर आते हैं, हमने कभी उनको पूजावादी कहा क्या? नहीं कहा। वो उनका धार्मिक आस्था है, उनकी धार्मिक आस्था, करने दीजिए उनको। भाई हिंदू अगर मंदिर में नहीं जाएगा तो कौन जाएगा?
नहीं तो अगर अखिलेश यादव जाते हैं तो उनको नमाजवादी कहना गलत है, आपका ये तर्क है?
नहीं, नमाजवादी,
लेकिन इसका का मतलब क्या है?
नमाजवादी कहते किसको हैं सर? नमाजवादी कहते किसको हैं वो तो बताइए मुझे, आप ही बता दीजिए नमाजवादी किसको कहते हैं?
Professor Bhatt, would you like to weigh in on this? Because Dimple Yadav has hit back at these charges, saying this was not a religious visit at all. And she says Imam Nadwi invited them. He's a Samajwadi Party MP. So when the party MP invited them, they went with him. She actually says that this is BJP's diversionary tactics. Real issues like the special intensive review of the voter list in Bihar, and there were protests in parliament on both houses of parliament. Those issues are not being taken up. Of course, India Today has, and very emphatically. I've done several shows on it, and so have my colleagues. But those issues, the BJP is trying to divert attention from.
Gaurav ji, I think Akhilesh Yadav ji, went to the mosque with a particular intention, and he has succeeded in achieving what he wanted to do. Now, the background to this is, we all know that Samajwadi Party, there are many political leaders who have been saying that Samajwadi Party has a Muslim DNA, and there have been, in fact, Brijesh Pathak ji had once made this comment earlier. And Akhilesh Yadav ji at that time had, put forth that why this is being said to me. But the point here is that it is Samajwadi Party, and specifically Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, if you remember when he, came to power in Uttar Pradesh in 2012-13, immediately when he joined back, he had with his own pen withdrawn the cases of 14 terror accused who were jailed, and the trial was about to start on them. And when the UP government went to withdraw the case from the court, Allahabad court, it scolded the government and told that you cannot withdraw these cases again. Today you are in the exact comments were that today you are withdrawing the cases against these terrorists. Tomorrow you might give them Padma Bhushan award. These are the comments that were given by the court at that time. And these were the accused, who were accused of the bomb blasts in Varanasi, in Ayodhya, and in Gorakhpur, such places. And remember that, but lately in 2021-22 onwards, some of the important senior political leaders within Samajwadi Party, they have been openly putting forward that Mr. Akhilesh Yadav today, they are not taking forward the case of Muslims, and Muslim leaders are being Rafiqur Rahman work, and just a year back or so he had openly accused the party that they are not taking care. So I think that probably he wanted that this to become a news. Now everybody is talking about it, and his appeasement message is going everywhere.
Okay, Ashutosh, you want to quickly weigh in the contention about the Muslim DNA of Akhilesh Yadav and the Samajwadi Party and the points that Geeta ji just made.
Just 3 quick points. First of all, even the Mohan Bhagwat has said, "हमारा सबका DNA एक है." So I will go by what Mohan Bhagwat has said. The second point is about this जो लोगों के मुकदमे वापस ले. I hope and I wish Maharashtra government would have withdrawn the cases against those people, because they spent 19 years and finally the High Court has come out that all of them were innocent. Now, who will bring back those 19 years for these people and the suffering, the trauma which have that gone? And earlier in the Malegaon blast case also, many of them were given clean chit by the court itself. So withdrawing case, if the government is concerned enough, it knows the investigation is not complete, there's nothing wrong in it. But to paint it as a Hindu-Muslim thing, that since this is a Akhilesh Yadav, so he withdrawing cases against the Muslim. And the third one is, I think in this country, appeasement of Muslim is bad, but appeasement of Hindus are not bad. Appeasement of Hindu is a fashion these days.
Okay, Professor Geeta Bhatt, you want to respond, especially in connotation with the 2006 Mumbai blast case?
See, first of all, I don't think that all have been, all the accused have been set free. First of all, I think Ashutosh ji, you need to be corrected on that. Some of them have been set free, and court has taken a call, and probably the Maharashtra government has already responded, and they have said that they are going to take it forward. But the point here is that Ashutosh ji has not commented on the fact that the Allahabad High Court, in the special reference when Mr. Akhilesh Yadav was the Chief Minister, what were the observations made that why are you not letting the trial, why are you withdrawing the trial? Why are you trying to withdraw it where there is already a case, where there is already a trial? And it is not just this. Gaurav ji, I remember in 2017 when the election was about to happen in Uttar Pradesh, just before that when the last budget had come, there was a special scholarship, laptops and bicycles for girls. And it was specifically for Muslim girls, very specifically for Muslim girls. So this is just one incident I have put forward here. One can list many incidences. One cannot forget the Muzaffarnagar riots and in Shamli what all happened and how Mr. Akhilesh Yadav at that time had responded. So it is, the point here is that the objective of coming forward with putting up their the picture that they have as appeasement toward Muslims, which has always been there, but probably in the last 2-3 years there has been a backlash within the party, and this was one of the opportunities which Mr. Akhilesh Yadav has taken so that he can again build up that kind of an image.
Let me quickly get Shubhrashta and Maulana Ansar Raza. And Maulana Ansar Raza, आरोप ये लग रहा है कि अखिलेश यादव खुले तौर पर तुष्टीकरण करते हैं, अल्पसंख्यकों का, मुसलमानों का तुष्टीकरण, क्योंकि उनकी वोट बैंक की ये राजनीति है। और आप आंकड़े देखिए, कई ऐसी कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसीज है, किसी में 50% अगर मुस्लिम वोटर है, किसी में 40%, 30%, तो उनकी कोशिश ये रहती है कि मस्जिद में जाएंगे, ये दिखाएंगे तो उनका वोटर बेस सुरक्षित रहेगा। लेकिन मौलाना साहब, बीजेपी के जो माइनॉरिटी सेल के अध्यक्ष है जमाल सिद्दीकी, उनका आरोप तो और गंभीर है। न केवल वो कह रहे कि एक पॉलिटिकल मीटिंग हो रही थी, उनका तो ये कहना है कि राष्ट्र विरोधी गतिविधियां वहां पर हो रही थी, और ये एक मस्जिद की पवित्रता को बिल्कुल नष्ट कर देता है, कि सैंक्टिटी ऑफ अ मॉस्क इज डिस्ट्रॉयड बाय व्हाट इज हैपनिंग देयर।
देखिए सावंत साहब, जमाल सिद्दीकी साहब ने जो कुछ कहा है, उनके पास क्या सोर्सेस हैं कि वहाँ देशद्रोही बातें हो रही थी, देश के खिलाफ क्या बातें हो रही थी, मुझे लग रहा है फिर तो बीजेपी के लिए बहुत बड़ी मुसीबत खड़ी हो जाएगी कि कितने लोग मस्जिद में बैठ करके अखिलेश यादव जो फॉर्मर चीफ मिनिस्टर हैं और बहुत सारे एमपी हैं, वो देशद्रोही बातें कर रहे थे। इतने कमाल की बात है वो साहब, और लोग चला रहे हैं उसको। दूसरी चीज, आपने एक बात कही है कि साहब वो मुस्लिम की तरफ ज्यादा झुकाव, देखिए किसी कोई मस्जिद में चला जाएगा तो उसमें वोट बैंक थोड़ी बढ़ जाएगा। लेकिन एक बात बताइए, मैं इसी मुल्क में आपको 3 एग्जांपल देता हूं। क्या हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री ने जब ये कहा कि इस मुल्क में शमशान को उतनी जगह भी मिलनी चाहिए जितनी कब्रिस्तान को मिलती, क्या ये अपीसमेंट नहीं है? जब उन्होंने कहा कि ये जो है मंगल सूत्र छीन करके तुम्हारे ले जाएंगे, क्या ये अपीसमेंट नहीं था? क्या एक तरफा राजनीति नहीं थी? अभी जो बिहार में मोदी साहब ने बयान दिया है, मेरे तेली भाइयों, मेरे कुर्मी भाइयों, वहां तो मुसलमानों का नाम नहीं लिया उन्होंने। और योगी आदित्यनाथ जी ने क्या कहा है कि अगर एक अगर हिंदू बेटी मारी जाती है तो हम 100 लोगों को मारेंगे। ये अपीजमेंट नहीं था क्या? इस पर कोई जवाब देगा? नहीं देगा।
Shubhrasta, you want to respond? You want to respond to very serious?
30 सेकंड,
ठीक, ठीक,
30
ठीक,
सेकंड,
ठीक. हाँ, please.
30 सेकंड। दूसरी चीज, जब इस तरह की बातें आती हैं, गीता भट्ट साहिबा की मैं बड़ी इज्जत करता हूँ, बहुत दानिश्वर है ये, बहुत पढ़ी लिखी प्रोफेसर हैं।
Just 30 seconds, ma'am. Just 30 seconds. He wanted 30 seconds to complete his point. Just let him complete, then it's all yours. मौलाना साहब complete कीजिए अपनी बात.
सुभ्राष्टा जी और गीता भट्ट जी, आप हमारे मुल्क की महिला हैं, मैं आपका एहतराम करता हूं, लेकिन मुझे आप एक बात बताइए, कितने झूठ ऐसे हैं जो आईटी सेल के पकड़े गए हैं, जिन पे केस चल रहे हैं? क्या आप वो लिस्ट बता सकती हैं? अमित मालवीय ने जो झूठे ट्वीट किए हैं, क्या आप बता सकती हैं? नहीं बता सकती। तो देखिए, खाली मुसलमानों को निशाना बनाना या दूसरी पार्टियों को ये कह देना कि ये मुसलमान उनके साथ जा रहे, अरे भाई, हम आजाद मुल्क में रहते हैं, जहां हमारी तबीयत चाहेगी। कोई जरूरी थोड़ी है कि हम अखिलेश के कोई गुलाम हैं या कांग्रेस के गुलाम हैं या आरजेडी के गुलाम हैं। जहां हमारी तबीयत चाहेगी हम वहां वोट देंगे। हमारे
Shubhrasta wants to respond. Shubhrasta wants to respond. वोटिंग का मैं पैटर्न वैसे आपको दिखाऊंगा मौलाना साहब, उस पर भी हम बात करेंगे कि वोटिंग कहां-कहां कैसे-कैसे हो रही है. बट Shubhrasta, you wanted to respond, ma'am.
Gaurav ji, I'm not going to dignify some of the statements which Maulana ji has made right now, because if I were to retort in similar measure and quote statements that have come from quote unquote the other end, then it would become a very incendiary debate, and I don't want to get there. Look, the problem is this, that when Akhilesh Yadav's government suspended work to observe Muharram in some districts, when he gave controversial instructions to police forces to go soft on riot mongers, then he quashed and withdrew hundreds of riot-related cases after the 2013 Muzaffarpur riots, when he proposed exclusive welfare schemes that Ma'am Bhatt has already enumerated, and when he makes these frequent visits to madrasas and prominent Muslim clerics without having a counter strategy to also visit the Hindu saints and the Sant Samaj, then questions are bound to arise. If you believe in secularism and if you tout secularism as your virtue, if you do not, if you wear your religion on your sleeves and you say that, well, I am a Hindutvadi or I am a Namazvadi or whatever, then it's all right. But you want to don the tiara of secularism and do all of this and expect the people of this country, especially citizens of Uttar Pradesh, to agree to whatever is being dished out.
Okay. Ashutosh, you want to respond to this, that visiting a mosque is okay, but maintaining distance from, let's say, the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi temple at the time of Pran Pratishtha, calling that a political project and calling this a social meeting. Is there merit in what the parallels being drawn, sir?
See, I think this is the nature of politics in this country. Anybody, Muslim wants to go to the mosque or Hindu wants to go to the mosque. What's wrong in it? Nothing wrong. I don't have any problem with Prime Minister.
No, but Akhilesh Yadav openly going to a mosque but choosing to stay away. The allegation being made is staying away from Ram Mandir Pran Pratishtha, calling it a political project, but going to a mosque where BJP alleges politics, but Akhilesh Yadav says, or his wife says, that's a social gathering.
Gaurav, tell me this. I haven't visited the Ram Mandir for years. So does it make me a less Hindu or more Hindu? So in Hindu religion, there is no
sir, but I would have asked you this question in your context had you still been with the Aam Aadmi Party. But, Akhilesh Yadav is a political leader.
Exactly. No. It doesn't matter. Whether Akhilesh Yadav going to Ram Mandir makes him less Hindu. No, I don't think so. It's his decision whether he wants to visit or he doesn't want to visit. Now the Hindus has to decide whether he's a less Hindu or the more. It is not up to the BJP to decide. The fact of the matter is, you know what? इस देश के अंदर एक चलन हो गया कि अगर मस्जिद में जाऊंगा तो लोग पूछेंगे कि आप यहाँ मस्जिद में नहीं जाएंगे तो क्या पाकिस्तान में मस्जिद में जाएंगे? But this whole debate is so ridiculous. And especially when a tweet by Amit Malviya, who has a history of being accused of spreading misinformation and all kinds of fake news. There's a cases against him. I agree with Ansar Saab. But the fact of the matter is, everybody said, the BJP say that the Muslim appeasement is there. Now the same Muslims according to Sachar committee report, their situation is worse than Dalits. I think if anybody, any government is taking care of giving laptop, anything, it's justifiable, it should be done. But the fact of the matter is, since they are the Muslims, even if they are poorest of the poor, they should not get any affirmative action. That's the hypocrisy of the politics today.
Okay. Shubhrashta, I wanted to respond to you, sir.
Yes, see, the problem is not about individual freedom to express their anybody's religious affiliation. The problem is if you are in politics and if you want to make secularism as your adage, and then you follow this kind of politics, questions will be asked. Now, of course, it is not un-Hindu to not visit a temple, but it is also not Hindu, or it is not also pro-Hindu to do this kind of drama. And Hindus of this country are also going, because it's not like Hindus are not disenfranchised in this country, right? And if a Muslim vote bank can exist, and if television and everybody, and even in politics, there can be a conversation about Muslim vote bank, then I don't think a conversation about Hindu vote bank should be treated as communal. That's the limited point that I make.
Sure. So is that what is happening?
Just
okay.
10 seconds. 10
Go on,
seconds.
sir. Ashutosh and then Maulana Ansar Raza.
See, it's normally said that the Muslim vote in bulk. I can give you n number of datas how the upper caste in UP is voting to BJP for more than 80%. Is it not bulk voting? Is it not bad for the democracy? So Muslims are accused of being voting in bulk. But the CSJ data says 88% Brahmins vote for the BJP, 86% Kshatriya vote for the BJP, and 82% Vaishyas vote for the BJP. This comes from 82 to 86%. Is it not wrong? Why we don't discuss it? Why we don't debate about it? We don't debate about it. We blame only the Muslims for the bulk voting. We only that they gang together and then they vote for a particular party. What about the upper caste?
Okay.
May I
Shubhrashta. Yes, ma'am.
So the thing is, nobody is trying to question the veracity of votes. The problem is simply this, that if Muslims in bulk prefer a particular kind of politics, Hindus in effect prefer a different kind of politics. I don't understand why this should be seen from a communal lens. If you really want to introduce secularism in the body politic of this country, then really act secular. Maintain a safe distance from religious institutions, religious leaders, and then go on and make actually secular policies. And let us really not go about Sachar Commission all the time, because Sachar Commission had a lot of recommendations. None of the governments have really come up with a plausible either an alternative to it, and they have not even fulfilled all the recommendations. So
we are a dharmic country. Secularism does not mean stay away. Secularism means you follow your religion, let the other person. And that is why the correct terminology must be there in public domain. Visit a religious place of your choice, but work for the welfare of all. Nobody is extra special. Equal rights for all in this country. Ashutosh, yes. Quickly, 30 seconds. Sorry, Maulana Sahab. Go on.
I'm really amused that Shubhrashta is basically speaking the language of a leftist CPM person. Somebody visiting mosque, somebody visiting temple, and that means he's compromising with the secularism. No. Unless you discriminate on the basis of religion. If Akhilesh Yadav has visited a mosque, how come he's not a secular? So just because he has visited a mosque, so he's no longer secular. His secularism is doubtful. This is the exact language.
Sir, the point that Professor Geeta Bhatt and Shubhrashta were making was, withdrawing cases against accused of terror cases of a particular religion only, and then visiting a mosque only. That's the point that they were making. But this is a debate that perhaps will continue in the run-up to 2027 elections a lot more. My apologies, I've run out of time on this part of the show, and that's lots more happening that I must talk about, on this broadcast. Ashutosh, Maulana Ansar Raza, Shubhrashta, and Geeta Bhatt for joining me here on this India Today special broadcast. Many thanks. Lured on Facebook, on social media platforms, then trapped, then converted, and in some instances, even trafficked. That's an investigation that's currently on. And this is not just the story of Shifa, or should we say Mamta, a young Hindu girl converted to Islam by Junaid, and she says, and she's told investigators, it was coercion, lure, and money. But how was this done? The police have now intensified multi-state investigations into this alleged forced conversion racket and a very complex web of conversions using both money and fear. First to woo, then to indoctrinate, then to convert Hindu girls, and in some instances, there are cases of human trafficking. Arvind Ojha brings you this India Today exclusive.
As the UP police unmasked the Agra conversion racket, India Today has access to survivors' chilling testimony of entrapment and exploitation. Victim Mamta, aka Shifa, alleges that she was lured through Facebook by Junaid, a Delhi resident and mastermind Abdul Rahman's close aide, while she was living in Haryana. Mamta says she was brainwashed, forcibly converted and held hostage.
फेसबुक पे किसी जुनैद नाम के लड़के के साथ मतलब प्रेम जाल में उन्होंने मुझे फंसा लिया था। उसके बाद यहाँ आके मेरा अब्दुल रहमान जी के घर लाके उन्होंने मेरा ब्रेन वॉश किया। उसके बाद मेरा धर्म परिवर्तन करवाया।
After Rahman's arrest, Mamta was rescued from his son's house in Delhi.
अब्दुल रहमान के घर जो मैं एक बंधक की तरह भी रह रही थी और मैं वहाँ से खुद को निकालना भी चाह रही थी। तो जब अब्दुल रहमान को पकड़ा गया तो मुझे भी वहाँ से लाया गया। तो मैं आगरा पुलिस का और योगी जी का मैं धन्यवाद करती हूँ कि मैं यहाँ से सुरक्षित निकल गई।
Mamta claims Qazi from Bharatpur conducted the nikah. The police have now arrested Junaid as well as the mastermind sons who Mamta had lived with for the last 5 months.
ये लड़की आई थी 4-5 महीने हो गए।
अच्छा,
किसी के थ्रू ही आई थी।
किसके थ्रू आई थी, नाम बताइए।
मुझे भी नहीं जानते, वही जानते हैं।
ये जनवरी फरवरी से हैं यहाँ पर 4-5 महीने हुए हैं।
तो क्यों रह रही हैं यहाँ पे?
ये कोई है, किसी ने अब्बा से कहा था कुछ के 4-5 महीने के लिए रख लो, कुछ बात है।
This is not the only story of dubious conversion. In Jaipur, another agent of conversion has been exposed. Piyush Panwar, alias Muhammad Ali. Once a Hindu, Piyush was allegedly brainwashed and converted and turned into a conversion agent. He was made the face of this racket. His propaganda videos circulated online to lure Hindu youth. He was tasked with creating groups on dark web and on Signal. The interstate conversion syndicate preyed on social media users, manipulating faith and using marriage as a trap. With arrests from Agra, Delhi and Jaipur, the Uttar Pradesh police has launched a full-scale crackdown. But how deep does this network go? And will more racketeers be exposed? With Arvind Ojha, Bureau Report, India Today.
And my colleague Arvind Ojha now joins me for more on this big developing story. Arvind, ये जो लड़की थी जिसका नाम शिफा बताया जा रहा है, पहले ममता थी, ऐसे कितने मामले हैं जिसकी पुलिस जांच कर रही है और इन हिंदू लड़कियों का धर्मांतरण कैसे किया गया?
देखिए, दिल्ली के मुस्तफ़ाबाद में जो अब्दुल रहमान, जो इस पूरे केस का मास्टरमाइंड है, उसने ये अवैध धर्मांतरण की फैक्ट्री बना रखी थी। और जब आगरा पुलिस ने वहाँ पर रेड की तो वहाँ पर ममता, जिसका नाम शिफा कर दिया गया था, वो वहाँ पर मौजूद थी। और जब उसकी हालत देखी तो खुद आगरा पुलिस भी हैरान रह गई। उसका वीडियो भी इंडिया टुडे ने एक्सक्लूसिव एक्सेस किया है, जिसमें जो ममता है उसने पूरा हिजाब पहन रखा था और एक तरीके से कहें तो जबरदस्ती उसको वहां पर रखा गया था। उसने पूरा खुलासा किया और अब तक 4 हिंदू लड़कियों को रेस्क्यू किया जा चुका है, जिसमें 2 आगरा की हैं, 1 हरियाणा की है, 1 उत्तराखंड की है। लेकिन जो सोर्सेज ने बताया कि 100 से ज़्यादा लोगों को जो हिंदू हैं उनका धर्म परिवर्तन कराया गया है। और ये जो मॉड्यूल है वो डार्क वेब और सिग्नल ऐप के जरिए वो कांटेक्ट करता था लोगों से। शॉकिंग डिटेल्स ये भी है गौरव कि इसमें एक लड़की ऐसी है जो इतना रेडिकलाइज्ड हो गई कि उसने सोशल मीडिया पर AK-47 के साथ अपनी तस्वीरें लगाई। ये जो पूरा मॉड्यूल है वो IS और लश्कर ए तोयबा से भी कनेक्टेड है। तो अभी 12 से ज़्यादा लोगों को इसमें अरेस्ट किया गया है, जिसमें कुछ ऐसे अक्यूज्ड भी हैं जो हिंदू थे और उसके बाद में उन्होंने इस्लाम धर्म कबूल किया। और उसके बाद लगातार जो ये गैंग है वो हिंदू लड़के लड़कियों को टारगेट कर रहा था। तो 4 जो लड़कियां हैं उनको रेस्क्यू किया गया है। 12 से ज्यादा लोग अरेस्ट हुए हैं। जो दिल्ली की जो अवैध धर्मांतरण फैक्ट्री है उसको भी बस्ट किया गया है और वहां से ममता, जिसका नाम सिफा कर दिया गया था, उसको रेस्क्यू किया गया।
Keep tracking that story, Arvind. I will come back to you for more. So they converted Hindu girls to Islam and then were using them to radicalize others and convert even more. We'll be tracking this story very, very closely to get you how this was happening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on his way to the United Kingdom, and that's the first leg of his two-nation tour. It's a very important visit. The much-awaited free trade agreement is likely to be inked when the Prime Minister is in the United Kingdom. But then this isn't just about free trade agreement and commerce. The Ministry of External Affairs has confirmed that on agenda are talks on cracking down on Khalistani separatists and terrorists, as well as repatriation of economic fugitives from India hiding in the United Kingdom. And that big question, will India finally see the likes of Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi and Lalit Modi being sent back to India? Lavina Tandon in London gives us this report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a crucial visit to the United Kingdom. The Prime Minister will be holding a bilateral meeting with his British counterpart, Keir Starmer. They will formally seal a free trade agreement 2 months after it was finalized. The deal removes tariffs on 99% of Indian goods to the UK and will effectively cover the entire trade value. In return, India will slash duties on 90% of British products, with 85% British products to be tariff-free over the next decade. India is also pushing for the extradition of economic fugitives, Lalit Modi, Nirav Modi and Vijay Mallya.
There are a few questions related to fugitives from Indian law and Indian justice in the UK. These have been a matter of discussion between both sides, and we have continued to make the case for these fugitives to be rendered to India.
The issue of Khalistani extremist elements in the UK will also figure in discussions.
The presence of Khalistani extremists and bodies close to these people is again something that we have brought to the attention of our partners in the UK. We will continue to do so. This is a matter of concern not only to us, but it should be a matter of concern to our partners as well.
Prime Minister Modi is likely to meet King Charles III during his 2-day visit. From trade to extradition to Khalistani extremism, Prime Minister's Modi London visit carries high stakes, both diplomatically and strategically.
It is a very short trip, but very significant trip indeed, because once this agreement is signed, it is expected that the trade between the two countries could go up to $120 billion by 2030. It opens up the markets for both the countries indeed.
From the UK, he will head to Male for the next leg of the trip. With Lavina Tandon, Bureau Report, India Today.
Shifting focus, the United States has accused China of using Russia as a proxy, not just to weaken the US, but also NATO forces that are trying to arm Ukraine. So as US-China relations go through turmoil, Beijing and New Delhi are seen to be taking very small steps, baby steps towards reviving ties destroyed by China's actions along the line of actual control in 2020, especially Galwan. So what happened at Galwan? What happened along the LAC in 2020? That decades of confidence-building measures were just destroyed by China. I spoke to Lieutenant General Y.K. Joshi, then Army Commander Northern Command, on Operation Vijay. Remember, it's going to be 26 years of India's victory over Pakistan in Kargil. I spoke to him about Operation Snow Leopard. So from a commanding officer in Kargil to Army Commander during Snow Leopard, and also the China-Pakistan tango during Operation Sindoor. For the Chakraview podcast, we bring you a small excerpt on Galwan and now how the onus is on China to improve ties with India. Sir, we suffered 20 fatalities. How much in your assessment did the Chinese suffer?
Yeah, so the Chinese also lost their commanding officer, and they suffered about 45 plus casualties. So this was also confirmed by Australian intelligence, which came up later with an article, and also the Russian TASS had also published this, that they have suffered that many casualties. Plus, we were also observing. We had an observation post on one of the flanks of Galwan, wherein he was counting the number of people that were being carried and taken, which was much more than 45 actually. One was not sure that time that how many fatal and how many this, but they have suffered a large number of casualties. While they admitted only 4, they're also much later.
That also much later.
Absolutely. So they also suffered a large number of casualties, but they want to save face and they don't want to admit their own casualties. Well, we
are a democracy, but if the Chinese suffered 45 plus casualties, was this the first time that India very strongly and militarily stood up to China, drew a red line and said, thus far and no further?
Absolutely. So that was, Galwan was a red line. And then we told the Chinese very, very clearly that, we have lost people and you have broken all the agreements. So now we are not going to follow those agreements, and we're not going to get into those scuffles that was happening earlier, the face-off drills and all that is over, and that was very, very clearly indicated to them. But post Galwan, while we continue to have flag meetings, but since he had also suffered casualties, that acrimony continued, and he was not ready to relent at all. And it was during this period, from the 15th of June. Till end of August is when all that build-up which I talked about earlier happened, and we continuously planned our quid pro quo options. We planned, we rehearsed, we continued to maintain surprise, and went into a large number of details that what is to be done, what is not to be done, etc.
Contingencies. There's one aspect that I must tell our viewers about, and those who are listening to this very fascinating podcast. India's biggest response, if I may, to what the Chinese had done was the QPQ operations or the quid pro quo operations. Sir, tell us about that, because I know how, and I've seen you firsthand in Kargil, and I've had the privilege and honor of seeing you firsthand in operations, even during Operation Snow Leopard in Ladakh. This QPQ operation, what was your thinking and what was the government's directive to you, sir?
Yeah, so after Galwan happened, the Prime Minister visited Ladakh and we briefed him at length, and that exactly what has happened, and what are the intentions of the Chinese, how they're going about doing it, and what are our plans, etc. And after having discussed the whole thing, he gave us a totally free hand, completely free hand.
The Prime Minister gave you a free hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. To the army, that these operations have to be handled by the army the way you want to conduct them, while at the same time, at the higher level. The External Affairs Minister was talking to his counterpart. The NSA was talking to his counterpart. The WMCC meeting was happening, and all the channels at all, all of our nation approach was happening, and but the entire support that we got that time was tremendous, and then all that build up which I talked about happened, and we continuously planned our quid pro quo options, that what we need to do to in any negotiation it has to be a give and take. So right now we only had to take, because they were sitting into areas which we claimed, and there was nothing to give. So then we planned our quid pro quo options. But what happened on the 29th was early morning, 29th of August. The PLA provided us the trigger again. They tried to change the status quo in the area of the south bank of Pengong. So, early morning 29th, we saw a lot of torches being flashed. And so we saw that, some troop movement is taking place to occupy those areas in the south bank. When that happened, we already had our plans in place. Immediately, early morning, pitch dark, around 5 in the morning, we launched a brigade plus size force to go and occupy the entire area of south bank.
Wow.
And this was, classic race against the passes from where the Chinese were coming from the other side, and this side, our troops were moving, and we were able to occupy a large number of area which was dominating the Chinese positions.
So this entire podcast with the Kargil war hero, Lieutenant General Y.K. Joshi, is coming up on India Today YouTube at 5 p.m. on Thursday. Kargil War Hero, Lieutenant General Y.K. Joshi exclusive. Well, that is all we have for you on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching.